So as a lot of you fellas know, the International is not the only sweetheart we have. The Blue Truck's not the only sweetheart we have. We also have this. This is kind of built on the channel, kind of not. But for everyone that's new, it's been kind of dormant all winter. You see, during the Canadian winters, especially around here, they salt everything, and it will eat everything alive. It's just how it is. You can protect against it, but really the best course of action is just storage. And that brings us to our F-150 here. Let me show you guys. So this right here is our 1996 1996 Ford F-150. Now, hold on. I know what you're going to say. This guy doesn't know what he's talking about. That's a Bullnose F-150. 1980 to 1986. Click off the video. Get away from this guy. He doesn't know what he's doing. Listen. You guys pay attention to the short videos. I know a lot of you long format guys don't. But this truck right here is a 1996 Ford F-150. Take a couple seconds and drink it in. If you're good on these OBS Fords, I call everything, 1980, 1996 F series pickups OBS. But if you're good on these OBS Fords, you'll figure out how it is. I'll give you a minute. So let's forget all of this for right now. Let's go over here to, we got these mirrors here on this door. That's a 1996 door. Interesting. The wing windows are different right here. Different little guys, different length. Interesting. Door sills are different, all that stuff. Dash is an 80s, but what if I told you we retrofitted that in? Rear sliding glass, that's 1996. Same as that. Now, hopefully that sparked your attention because you likely just realized there's a lot of stuff going on with this truck. It technically started life as a 1996 F-150 with a 302 automatic truck. It was four-wheel drive, and it had a plow on the front. Single cab, long bed. We might as well drink it up from the forward to the back, and I'll go over it as we go. So right here we got a Bullnose front clip. Bullnose, hood, front fenders, bumper. It's all mismatched years from 1980 to 1986. So for the front bumper to mount, we basically cut the horns off the donor truck and welded them onto this guy. There, as you can see, it's welded right across the seam on that side. It's actually F350 frame horns. It's a solid C all the way forward. F-150s are kind of like that crinkled box at the very front, but, it all lines up at the end of the day. Bumpers on. No issues there. Let's open up the hood. To be honest, I haven't even touched this truck since we brought it into the barn. That's basically, I think it was October or the very 1st of November. So it hasn't even started or anything like that. A little sad, but it is what it is. But let's open up the hood. Hopefully there's nothing living under it. Frank's doing okay. That's awesome. Frank has been a long time on a couple different cars. He now resides on the F-150. Ah, yes, the old 460 big block Ford. Still exactly as I remember. There we go. We got the old big block Ford in here. She needs a little bit of work, the old engine. We put different head gaskets on it, re-gasketed things, but a lot of the original bolts, I think they need to be Tefloned, that kind of stuff. I think the water pump's starting to go, and I think the timing cover's starting to leak, so we're going to have to address that kind of stuff. But all of our wires are still there. Looks like the mice didn't get to it. Awesome. This old Ford is a 460 big block. It's 385 series Ford engine, and it's mated to a T19 4-speed. It's a heavy-duty truck transmission, really low first gear, and it's a 4-speed, so 2, 3, 4, and then you got your reverse. Really would like to get a 5-speed in this sometime, or a 6-speed. The granny low 4-speed does the job, but first gear is almost unusable in this truck. You never really pull anything with this. But that's something we're also going to address this year. As for the basic build of what we have going on this, we have headers, we have a points ignition. What? Points ignition? That can't be. This guy doesn't know what he's talking about. Well, I don't know what to tell you guys. I'm looking right at her. That's a points ignition right there. A lot of fellas, they, put the Chevy module inside there, the Chevy distributor. Works just good, or they go MSD, get rid of the Duraspark box, We just went with the simple approach and put a 71 Ford 460 ignition system inside it.
Works pretty darn good for this truck. We'll upgrade it down the road. But now we have a basically ready to run distributor at any point. It's all mechanical. Can't go wrong.
But no, general summary, we basically have an Edelbrock 650 carburetor. It's the one with the electric choke, but we have the electric choke bypass for now. Got the points ignition. That's all new. New head gaskets, all that stuff. New alternator down low, and then pretty much all new wiring all
through.
This
old engine treats us quite well. It gets, about 9 miles a gallon, so it's not very fuel efficient, but you get a lot of miles per gallon in this. And, it kept up with some fellas on the highway that I didn't think it would be able to with that 4-speed. The old 1-to-1 on the transmission really, really bottlenecks this engine. But I digress. Let's keep moving
Another
back.
cool side thing for that 460 Ford over there. Right now we have a single row radiator in it. Off of a 302, they basically work. But at the end of the day, we found this cheeky...
It'll be a really good upgrade. The truck never overheated on us before, but it has got hot. That dual core should help out 100%.
Back onto the inside here. A lot of that's pretty much untouched. We got a couple things we got to do. The radiator, we got to make a bracket for it, like a steel bracket on the inside. It's kind of wobbly. You know what I mean? So we just kind of sunk in. Normally it just kind of hangs out here, but that doesn't really cut the mustard. It's just plastic. Another thing I want to do is I want to redesign my clutch pedal system.
Because, if you guys know these 96 cabs, when you're switching everything to the 80s, some things don't fit, so you had to fabricate some stuff. We got some leverage points wrong with that clutch pedal assembly. Clutch pedal's pretty darn heavy in this. I'm talking upwards of 50 pounds. It kind of makes it hard to do these quick shifts and, clutch dumps, all that stuff. Well, actually, clutch dumps are really easy to do in it. I kind of want to make it a little bit more creature comforts, a little bit easier, so we might take that clutch pedal assembly out and kind of redesign it. But the cab's going to pretty much remain untouched for this year.
Now, at the very back, as you can see, it's now a short bed. And one would think, you bought a short bed, all that kind of stuff, put it on a different frame. When you made it out of the long bed, not exactly.
Got this truck. We switched the frame over to a Southern frame. Then we sandblasted it, all that stuff. But the very first year this truck was out, it was still in a long bed configuration. Actually, it was this bed right here. We did a long bed to short bed conversion on this. It's actually one of the very first full-length videos on this channel.
On a good day, you can't see the seam. We're not exactly body men, as you guys can know.
When it comes to mud work and stuff, it's not really my specialty. Kind of out of my element there. But welding and stuff's not too bad. So it has very, very, very minimal mud, which is what I like. But we might address that fact, a little bit of the wave to it, make it a lot more proper, so it's not waving back to you when you're going down the road.
And you can catch it at different lights. See where that crinkle is? It's basically right there. That's the seam.
But all in all, we didn't do very bad at the end of the day. I'm quite happy with it. And we did the old test paint job on it. A lot of people picked me apart because there's a lot of orange peel in it. And I get it. But what if I told you this?
That there paint job was a good experiment. And it was an experiment for this. This right here is an electric HVLP gun, and that's what we painted that bed with. It's technically, made for fence posts and stuff.
Did I also mention that we, didn't use car paint? We used Rust-Oleum. Krylon to be specific, but it's just a competitor. We used that, and we used a bunch of hardener inside it, and it's held up pretty darn well.
That's without wet sand. That's without a whole bunch of steps that you normally do after you do paint anyway. We just kind of laid it down as flat as possible, and that was about it.
This year, what we also want to do, I quite like the color of that Krylon. It turned out really good. I think we're either going to enhance that and do a nice two-tone on top, or we're going to do a solid red all the way through. We plan on painting the rest of the truck. That year was just kind of an experiment, but we want to do the rest of that before it comes out.
And don't worry, that includes the wet sand, all that stuff. And we're going to clear it at the end.
Because that's not cleared, fellas. It just has a natural shine to it because it's an oil-based paint. Hasn't flaked off, nothing like that. I think it's held up pretty darn good. Did I mention we have less than, $100 into this whole bed? And we used way too much paint, so I think we did pretty darn good. The cab, likely another $100 because we're pretty much novices, and then another $100 for the clear for the entire thing. We should be all set. Now, we do a lot of body work here, as you can see. 1954 International, doing a lot of rust repair on it. Did I mention we have more rust repair to do? That old truck has been missing its tailgate ever since we did the long bed to short bed conversion. There it is right here. This guy needs a little bit of, loving.
It's actually a really, really, really good tailgate as far as, 80s Ford stamped steel tailgates come. But we got to redo this little bottom lip here. This was the worst of the damage right here. I think there's another one maybe up top. Not quite sure. But we had to strip all the paint off this, do our primer, do that. We'll do this paint section with the cab, but we'll do the body work.
And there's not a lot of chrome on this truck, so I've been really thinking about doing a chrome delete on it, doing like a black or a white. I think a red and a white would look really, really good on that truck right there. And we have lower end plans and all that stuff. It won't be this year, but if we can get it one color or two colors, I think that would turn out pretty darn good body-wise.
And now we got to kind of go underneath and address the big issue from last year. And half the big issue is sitting right here on the floor.
Oh no, your truck's completely rotten. I can't believe it. Oh no, you didn't do a frame off on this. You sure about that? The frame's completely sandblasted, painted, needle scaled, all that stuff that, you got to do in the rust belt to preserve things. That's what this guy has been done. But that's not why we're down here. We're down here because of this fella right here. That's a brand new hanger bearing. He got, absolutely mangled up when this drive shaft started to go, and that was from wheel hop. But we also bent up our poor little bracket here that we made last year. That has to be replaced. And we bent the cross member.
Likely happened, when the whole drive shaft was going like this. And I'll show you why.
Now, unless you're talking Ford Lightning fellers, these guys here just run leaf springs. They don't have snubber bars, none of that. No track bars, none of that. It's just leaf springs.
This one's actually a pretty decent model. We got a rear sway bar in this guy, definitely keeping that. But we took out the extra leaves. I think they're normally here on the bottom. They come out, the overload leaves.
So we're just running our 4 leaf pack and that's it. And I think the main leaf on these trucks is 3/8. It's not very big at the end of the day, and it goes down as it goes through. On a 4-pack of leaf, you got a lot of wrap, and that's what took out the drive shaft on this guy. When the 460 big block and the manual transmission, you do a nice clutch drop, pretty new tires on the back, the old, rear end starts jumping. That's what broke the rear flange on that rear end, sent the drive shaft up into the bed, not so hunky-dory at the end of the day. That's also what took out the pinion seal, all those vibrations. It looked like the transmission was also wet. Might have to do some seals up there. Now, I don't know if you know the expression, caught with your pants down. That's kind of what we were last year with this truck. We had basically an extra month of just working on it when I really wanted to just be enjoying it. Got stuck inside the barn. I don't want that to happen again. So we have a little bit of a laundry list that we have to do to this guy before it goes out, because it's also due for inspection this year. You know how she goes. So we got a little tiny bit of things that we could kind of get away from because race car, but now we got to face the music. The main things that we have to do to this truck, so we'll pass a New Brunswick inspection. We got to put an e-brake in it. It's just missing one cable. We took it out when we did the long bed to short bed conversion. Never made its way back in. Got to do that. We also have to build or fix the drive shaft at the back. Not a big deal. Brakes, all of that stuff are brand new all around. Tires are all new all around. Got no problems there. Pinion seal, we have a few leaks up front. Again, the transmission was rattled to death pretty good when that drive shaft decided to jump out. I bet we got a rear seal problem, maybe a PTO gasket, that kind of stuff. Would really like to put a water pump in that 460, and we would also like to make this whole thing one color.
That being said, for upgrades, track bars are a necessity. That's the whole reason the drive shaft's laying inside the cab. We got to build them, or we got to put some... Now, we have some old ladder bars that have just been sitting, waiting for a good candidate like that truck. I haven't decided which one we're going to build them for, because both are going to get track bars or ladder bars. This one's either going to be built or those white ones. That one's either going to be built or those white ones.
When you're building so many trucks, it's hard to decide which ones you really want to build and which ones get store-bought parts. Might just put the store-bought parts on
Another
the truck.
thing we did that I kind of want to undo, we took the trailer hitch off, and that's mainly because we put the roll pan on. I kind of want a trailer hitch again. There was a lot of times where I was driving that truck that I had to hop in old blue whatever, where we could, you know, just tow. And it has an F350 transmission and drivetrain inside it. That truck can likely out-tow my F250.
Plus, you know, it's going to be really cool to tow the International maybe on a trailer behind an OBS Ford or a Bullnose Ford. I think that's going to be pretty darn slick.
So, track bars and trailer hitch have to go back on. If you guys know that truck, we've been collecting parts. We got 2 aluminum heads, aluminum intake, and a huge carburetor. We still need cam, rocker, lifters, that kind of stuff. I really want to put some main bearings.
At 389,000 kilometers, we're kind of into the copper now on those main bearings. Might be time to replace them. But we might try to get another year out of it. See how she goes.
But basically, we just want to polish her up.
Now, we're pretty much into the trucks here, so that's kind of the hot rod for the channel. A little bit, you know, more factory parts than the International, considering the International's 100% custom pretty much at this point. But it's also a hot rod. So you guys are going to see a little bit of fabrication on this guy and a little bit of fabrication on here. I know the Monday and Friday videos are usually International, but you're going to likely see a little bit of F150 sprinkled in, just so we have them ready in time. The International, if we have to postpone that a month or 2 down the line, because we're going to be waiting on glass anyway, not a huge issue. We can keep putting around. I just want to make sure I have a fun burnout vehicle for content for you guys to enjoy. But yeah, that's what's going to go on with the F150. A lot of the cosmetic, the stance, all that stuff isn't going to change much. Just basically coat of paint, polish the old turd, you know what I mean? I hope you guys enjoyed this video on the old Bullnose Ford. I can't wait to start working on it again. Very, very soon, we're going to start getting the ball rolling on that guy, for sure. I'll catch you guys in the next one really, really soon. All right, see ya.